Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. Good afternoon
Good
and good
morning.
morning.
Good morning from Sydney. I'm
Good
Leanne.
afternoon from LA. And I am Jason. And this is Let's Talk.
This is a space where no topic is off limits. We'll discuss things from well-being to resilience, leadership and money, relationships and mindset, and so much more.
And always at Let's Talk, we bring different perspectives, the real stories, and honest conversations. Because the things we don't talk about often end up being the things that really matter to us most.
And our goal here is simple. We really want to spark new ideas, shift mindsets, and give you practical tools that you can use for your life and leadership.
So, whether you're tuning in for inspiration, growth, or just a fresh perspective,
Let's talk. So, our topic today is very near and dear to my heart. We're looking at spiritual well-being and a 360 well-being journey. And spiritual well-being kind of is a loaded topic. Um, but what I want to say about our conversation today is that it really refers to that deep inner sense of alignment, of purpose, of connection, but beyond our material circumstances. So it may or may not be religious. For you, that's completely your choice. But this conversation is about living in accordance with your personal values and living supported and feeling supported by something far greater than oneself. So, whether you want to call it God, the universe, spirit, oneness, higher self, consciousness, whatever it is for you, our goal here is to contribute to hope, to make meaning, and have peace during times of uncertainty. Because let's face it, we are in very uncertain times in our in on the globe, right? It's not just
mhm.
in America or Australia. Or today we have a guest speaker from India who I'll get Jason to introduce shortly. But just globally, there's so much uncertainty. So today we hope that we can bring that hope and make meaning out of the world that we're living in and our internal world, more importantly.
Absolutely. And we just have such an amazing uh, guest expert, Jitesh Mogli, which will be a formal introduction here in a moment. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to join us live today due to time zone differences. I think it's like 4 o'clock in the morning there right now. So we had the opportunity of interviewing him earlier this week and just had such an amazing and just fruitful conversation of wisdom and gold nuggets and just so much energy around spirituality and this 360 well-being journey. So I will turn it over to Leeanne to share our amazing conversation for the next 90 minutes or close to 90 minutes with Jatish. Well, thank you so much, Lee. Three 60. With over a decade. Well, thank you so much, Leanne. And I have the privilege of introducing our guest expert today, Jitesh Mogli. So today on Let's Talk, we are joined by award-winning well-being coach Jitesh Mogli, a writer, mentor, humanitarian, MC, facilitator, and the visionary Chief Wellbeing and Fitness Architect at Wisdom 360. With over a decade of experience, plus 20 years of corporate experience, and more than 500 transformative training sessions delivered across diverse audiences, Jitesh empowers individuals and leaders to achieve 360 growth, integrating physical strength, mental resilience, emotional clarity, and spiritual flourishing. Guided by his mantra, love and evolve, Jitesh believes that true transformation begins from within. His approach centers on cultivating mindset, values, and awareness as the foundation of lasting well-being and authentic human excellence. So welcome, Jitesh, and thank you so much for being here today. And I'm just going to jump right in and ask you the first question that we have in our conversation.
Thank you to Leeanne and thank you to Jason. In India, we call this as pranams, a thankfulness and gratitude to greet people in the beginning of any particular event. So that's pranams to you. And over to you to get on with this beautiful session.
Great, thank you. So our first question is, what does spiritual well-being mean to you, and how do you distinguish it from religion?
Well, spiritual well-being, according to me, is the most important element, factor, chamber one needs to work with as a human being. And the reason I'm specifying human being is because only we humans can recognize what spirituality is all about and what is spirit in comparison to animals and plants who are the other living species, but they don't have that intellect to understand what spirit is. So we humans have this beautiful mind, beautiful heart, who can recognize how we are on this planet, what made us be on this planet, and what happens through our life, the journey. Why are we in this particular geography only for within this country, be it as a man or a woman? It is only by the blessing of the spirit that we are born. And the most highest form of living is human species. So we need to be first thankful to that immense, powerful, supreme energy who has given us this gift of life, that too in a human space, in a human body, which has the most refined understanding of all the senses, all the cognitive power, listening power, ability to smell, talk, listen, feel, touch, you name it. It's only the human who can understand all of these, which are so beautifully gifted. Hence, I call spiritual well-being to be the most primary well-being that one needs to take control of, besides all other aspects of well-being, which we will talk in the later course of our session. So, according to me, spiritual well-being is the number one chamber one needs to enter if they want to understand their other dynamics of life, which is mind, body, emotions, and all other spectrum of elements which come in our life journey, which we would discuss ahead. And may I know the question again, the later half of the question?
Yeah, the later half of the question is, how do you distinguish it from religion?
Yes, so very important question and very important answer, which I want to let the world know around, that many a time people understand religion to be wholesome spirituality. So each religion has its own sentiments, formalities, thoughts, feelings, attachments to it. I don't want to name the religions. We have diverse religions across the country, across the world. And I, being an Indian, India has so many beautiful religions, communities, cultures out here. It has close to 30 languages in this country. Okay. So having seen different religions, communities, I've seen kind of rituals and traditions people follow. And each one attaches to their religion and sees it to be their wholesome religion. Why? It's great to feel that. I have no qualms on that part. But when you consider your religion to be the wholesome aspect, and you tend to discard other religions and see this as my own way of theory of spirituality, then as long as it's your own perspective, it's fine. But when you try to draw the lines with others and intersect with others, that's when the essence of religion starts breaking down. So according to me, to keep it as simple as possible, spirituality is humanity. On the broader spectrum, if people can understand that spirituality is humanity, meaning human to human understanding at the grassroots level, irrespective of whether I am a CEO or an entrepreneur or the highest level of a power person that I could be, to the most bottom part of the hierarchy one would be working at, be it at a ground level as an associate or a subordinate or the most initial level of a person that one would be working at. It doesn't matter. Humanity doesn't have titles.
Yeah.
Humanity doesn't have designations. Humanity doesn't have what kind of a background am I coming from? How much of my asset value net worth is? All of that doesn't matter, because for supreme energy, all human beings are one, all human beings are equal, and there is a fair way of treatment by the supreme. It's all about how am I working on this planet in this human space? What is my contribution? How am I thinking? How am I actioning? Basis which I would get the results. The outcome is purely as to what I give, I get back.
Yeah, that law of reciprocity, right? What you put out there comes back at you. And I really love that. Spirituality is humanity. It's not religion. Like that is, and you're right. We all thrive. We've all been brought into our own religions. And unfortunately, it creates some division, whereas spirituality brings people together. And I love that concept about it being humanity. I'm just going to hang my hat on that. I think that was beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. Humanity brings unity.
Yeah.
If one gets into the apparel of humanity, I think you will start embracing unity all around. And that very sense of embracing another human being with an equalitarian attitude is spiritual.
Yeah, so, and you said, you made a comment and it made me think, you know, we are spiritual beings having a human existence at the end of the day, and we have this life force that runs through us, and that is our spirit, and that is spirituality. And I think we often don't think about it from that perspective, right? So thank you for saying that.
In fact, I encourage people to go beyond religion. Go beyond religion to embrace people, understand them, have that empathetic, compassionate attitude towards each other, so that you have that zeal to learn something from someone. What is that I can do for you? If people start having this kind of an attitude, I'm telling you, this world will turn into a most beautiful space around less of toxic and more of organic culture all around.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Which kind of leads me to our next question, Jitesh, which is, why do you think having a sense of meaning or purpose is so vital today for our 360 well-being?
Absolutely. Having a meaning and purpose for every action defines who we are. If I am simply doing something, there has to be some purpose around it. The very action that we are doing right now over here on this call, to be talking to each other, sharing this beautiful subject, has some meaning and purpose, right? And this podcast element has a purpose behind it, to reach out to larger audience, to get the essential education on well-being. Similarly, every work thought that I am connected with in my own life should have a meaning and purpose. If we set this as a vision, if every human being has a vision in life that I want to do this, I'm born for this is my meaning of life, then I think, you know what, you are purpose-driven life. Otherwise, you're living a life without a destination. And somebody who's living a life without a destination is like an animal moving around, lingering around, but it doesn't know what it's doing. So it's important. In fact, animals have their own way of purpose, be it hunting to connecting with other animals or feeding, they at least have some sense of direction of where am I going. But if a human doesn't have a direction and there is no set action in them that I want to do this in my life, in the next 30 years, this is where I want to be. This is how I want to create an impact around in my ecosystem. Then you are set on a purposeful life. Otherwise, you are insulting your life. If you do not have that meaning and purpose, then the essence of being a human being is lost.
Insulting our life.
Yeah.
Like that is, and I agree. If we don't have that sense of meaning, that sense of contribution, the word that you used was impact. Like, what sort of impact do I want to have on the world? What sort of footprint do I want to leave? And if I don't live to that, then I'm just existing. I'm aimless. Right. So that,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah. And I think that speaks, well into like our next question around, when you created that vision of like an animal just kind of lingering around, not knowing where they're going, like the word disconnected and misalignment came to mind. And so, which actually leads nicely into our next question is, many people here on Earth feel disconnected. From your point of view, what are some early signs that we've lost touch with our sense of purpose and our sense of self?
Yeah, in the current scene or in the current world that we see where the digital indulgence is growing so much, people are so involved, indulging. I want to use this word, indulging. It's not only on your favorite junk food or desserts that you indulge, but there's so much of indulging which is happening in your digital space, in your cosmetic space, in your glamour space, that people slowly have started to become too self-centered, right? I'm so much in my selfie world, taking selfies and looking at what kind of apparels am I wearing? Am I looking good always? How are my pictures coming out? And what kind of a food am I consuming? And if your ideation is always on satisfying your senses, then slowly you start getting disconnected with the world, because I'm not thinking about others. I'm not thinking about what is happening to my sister, to my brother, to my siblings. How are my parents doing? Are they happy? Am I doing my responsibility as a son or a daughter in order to make their life better? What kind of a contribution can I do to make their life better? Is it only I, me, myself, my income, my car, my house, my apparels, my parties, my luxuries, my investments? If this is how one gets into, then you will see detachment signs from people. And that is how even relationships are breaking out, because everything matters about I, me, myself. So my convenience matters, but I don't care about others. I don't care about the ecosystem around. All that matters is my benefits, what is in for me. I think people should move out from that thought process of what is in for me. Instead, what can I do for you? What can I do for the society?
Yeah.
As a human being, when I'm blessed on this planet for whatever that I am, in whatever role that I am, in whichever country that I am, how am I useful to people?
Yeah.
I so much connect to this beautiful book written by one of my inspiring idols, Arnold Schwarzenegger, who's today one of the great podcaster. I also follow his pump videos on podcasting. He has come up with this beautiful book, I think last year, Be Useful. Being useful as a human being allows you to get connected with the world, allows you to get connected with everything, including animals and plants. So when you're not being useful and when you're too useful to yourself, that's when you become useless to others.
Yeah. Absolutely agree. You see it everywhere. It's me, I, and I don't care about you, right? Like, oh, that's a secondary thought, if it's a thought at all, is what I'm hearing in that. And really, if we can flip the script and say, how can I be in service? What can I give instead of what can I take? How can I show up in a way that serves as opposed to that selfish of how can you serve me? I think, the world would change if we could come from that perspective. And, letting our wisdom guide our words and our thoughts and our actions towards the collective as opposed to towards ourself only. Yeah, really interesting concept. So how do we then find our values, and what role do our values have in shaping a meaningful life?
Well, it starts with values. That's where I begin with. And a lot of parenting, to all the parents out there who's watching this episode, I so strongly recommend that, are you following your values towards your children? My parenting begins when I am setting right kind of values into my children, the right kind of principles, integrity, ethics. If I am able to seed all this into my child will grow into a tree which will only give me the best of fruits.
Yeah.
The same way as I would seed into the soil, if I want to see a plant growing and that plant giving me the best of fruits, I have to nurture it in the best way, give it the right amount of sunlight, watering at the right intervals, and all kind of required minerals that a plant would need for it to grow into a tree. That is when I can expect best of fruits. So value system is so much to do with parenting, because a child is innocent and children come with their own innocence out here into the world. You cannot hold a child at mistake to point out on certain things the child would be doing out of innocence or ignorance or bad teaching. So I so much want to connect on this subject to teachers out there and parents, that we as adults are teachers in our own ways, to ensure that we are setting the right kind of expectations and value system into our children. Then you will see a beautiful future generation who are filled with values.
Yeah.
And I somehow don't want to resist in saying this. Japan as a country has been setting beautiful values into their population, and I see Japanese are so value-driven people. They're very gratitude-oriented people with a lot of kindness, and it is immensely spread around their population. I happened to meet few Japanese people in India while I was in my own workspace, and I could see and resonate what kind of a culture they have built, though the country is so small, but I could see that their impact on value system is far-reaching and inspiring.
Yeah.
So if we can get this level of value system into our people, I think every country will magnanimously grow into a beautiful orbit in its own way. And when I say values, it is your simple gestures, right from the point of not doing anything harm to anybody, speaking truth always, and staying as clean as possible in my thoughts, in my feelings, in my actions, not having manipulated theories within me. I speak something, but I don't do that. So my actions are different, but I speak something else.
Yeah.
So there is a absolute intersection. There is so much of a break in what you're saying. It has to be authentic. It has to be clear. what I see, I do it, and it is reflected out in the outcomes. So if we can set these kind of value systems in people, from honesty to kindness to being obedient, in best of behaviors, including putting up a nice, beautiful smile out there. Your value system actually starts with a beautiful smile to someone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we humans somewhere have forgotten to smile. I see some people out, I don't know why they don't smile. Is it so difficult? Is that a skill? Is that a skill one needs to practice? I don't think so. So it all comes with the right kind of teaching at schools and at home from the parents. And these value systems are something which will create spiritual thinking, spiritual formation at a very early age. And then you see adults coming out with beautiful work ethics and beautiful ways of connecting with the outer world, be it inside of their home and outside of their home.
Jitesh, I love that you said something about smiling. I know when I was growing up, my mum used to have a sign up in our house, and I can only remember the first kind of couple of lines, but it said, "A smile costs nothing, but it gives much. It enriches those who are poor without making poorer those who give." And that had, like, I can still remember that from my childhood. And I think it's such a beautiful thing that if we smile at somebody, we enlighten their life, they smile back, we feel good. And that ripple effect, like, you just have no idea how far that can go from something so simple as just smiling. And then obviously, right living, integrity, following through, doing what you say, kindness, connection, all of those pieces. It certainly would have a significant impact on our world. Jason, I'll hand over to you. I just couldn't help but share that little poem that I remember so vividly from my growing up years.
Absolutely. And one important point which I want to sum up before we move forward. Another important factor of a value system is setting discipline for yourself.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Discipline plays a huge role in a value system because it teaches me what is my limitation, what is my boundary, when should I say yes, when should I say no. And discipline to your own self, which includes your own body, where I set my body to the best of fitness levels, hygiene, the kind of nutrition that I follow, the lifestyle that I follow, the kind of apparels that I makes people feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Okay. Most importantly, comfortable and inspiring. So it all starts with me. And then with that best of me, people will start picking up very, very beautiful aspects of you. And then I think every individual will have a great way to learn out of the value system that you create. Yeah. So I would always look at people saying that, what kind of a value system are you at before pointing on to somebody? It's very easy to point out to somebody and then you become that evaluator or an SSE who wears a hat to judge people, but are you judging yourself?
Yeah.
So that's where your primary value system comes from.
Yeah. Who is the, you know, when you said that, it's like, who is the you that's observing? You know, which is like super powerful. I forget which book that's from, Leeanne.
The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer is the, you know, who is the you that is observing?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's definitely a powerful question, right? You know, whether you're talking about your values or you're talking about, you know, how you show up in the world, and you know, who is that you that's observing you, like, while you're doing that, right? Which I think really leads well into our next question for you, Jitesh, is how can an individual begin to uncover or reconnect to their true why?
Yes. Knowing your why is important. Why am I born? Why am I born in this country, in this place, in this geography? That is a primary question everybody should ask themselves, at least from the time that your maturity starts talking to you. In innocence, you don't get this why. You're always in your own tune. You don't even know what why means. But at least from the time that you connect with the world with your maturity, this question has to be asked by every human being around. And to connect to your why, you need to know, again, who am I? Who am I and what am I? What am I made of with? What am I containing with? So the moment you understand that I'm built with certain energies, certain skill sets, certain qualities, certain behaviors, certain level of intellect. Every individual has certain level of intellect. Every individual has certain level of talent also.
Mm-hmm.
Every human being, I on record, I would like to tell that every human being is built with a talent, built with a skill. It is only about understanding yourself. What am I good at? The moment you connect that this is what I'm so good at, then you know why I am good at with this and why I should excel in this. And that is how we see most of the performers, champions out there, be it in the music world, be it in the sporting world, be it in the acting world. All great performers have come up with that why in them. And the moment they recognize that this is the beautiful talent that I am born with, then I think you should start working on why. And then you will get your answers to it. So to get your why more clear, I need to be very authentic in knowing who am I.
Yep.
Rather than lying to yourself. And if you're lying to yourself, you are fooling yourself. Hence, authenticity matters.
Absolutely. And I really like what you said there, right? Like, look at what I'm good at. Look at what my strengths are. Look at what my unique talents are. You know, we're so hard on ourselves and so critical of self and others. But if we can actually look through the lens of, well, what is it that I actually have? What is my superpower? Because we all have one. And how can I bring that to life? That then speaks to your purpose because you've been blessed with those gifts, whatever that is for each individual. And I agree with you that we all have something special. We've all got a special secret sauce that's unique to us. And if we can learn how to first identify it and accept it and then use that, the impact. Yeah. Wow. I love that. Because, you know, we always look at what we don't do well as opposed to what we do well.
Yeah.
Yep. And in the ocean of disconnection, ocean of, I'm using this word ocean of distraction, ocean of attractions, people are so consumed with the outer space that they are getting lured to brands, brand consciousness, and they are losing themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would say you be a brand of yourself, right? The you that you can be. And when you are in the finest of human space, you become a brand by yourself because you're living life in the best of authenticity rather than just wearing some brands and calling that you are a branded person. But inside your substance is nil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So be a substantial human being, then I think your why automatically comes up. And it comes up with brilliant colors.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, and to tag on to that and to, you know, a little bit what you were saying, Leeanne, before we move into the next question is, you know, how you said, you know, we're always hard on ourselves and on what we don't do right. Right. And I often see that a lot of times in team meetings, right? Or group facilitations that I do, like if they're debriefing something, whether it's an event or a, you know, a project or whatever. And it's like the group immediately wants to go to how do we improve this, what we did wrong, right? Yeah. Versus like really celebrating, like, what did we really do well with this? Like, what are the wins? And it's interesting because then I think sometimes people's whys will show up within those wins. Yes, there's always time to debrief, refinements, opportunities for improvement, but it struck a chord a little bit in me when you had said that, because it's like, yeah, it's like even on the individual level and on the team level, it's like everyone wants to go to that. Well, how do we do this better? Like,
yeah.
What didn't we do well? And da 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 da. So I just kind of wanted to put that in there, but then also connect it to the why. Is that, like, I think when you start with those wins, like people's why and even the team's why, right, can even come out when you celebrate what you did well with all the hard work and energy, time and money that goes into it. So I'll hand it back over to you for the next question.
Yeah, it's interesting because we know from a neuroscience perspective that our brain actively looks for what's wrong, what's in, in order to keep us alive. And it's looking for the saber-toothed tiger or the thing that's going to trip us up. But that doesn't lead to happiness or fulfillment, right? It has no desire at all to make us happy or fulfilled. So we've got to actively kind of resist that natural wiring and look for the opportunities, to look for the good, to actually focus and celebrate the wins, celebrate the joy, the connection, all the good stuff. And as opposed to what didn't work, what would be even better if? Like, I love that languaging, as opposed to, well, that didn't work, we need to fix that. Well, actually, it worked at this level and it would be even better if. And that helps people to expand into their greatness and expand into their purpose and to actually achieve more, because they're looking for the even better if, as opposed to feeling bad about what didn't work. So even just our languaging can have such a significant influence on how people show up. And you think about it, from children to animals to pets to adults, all of us like to be acknowledged. We all like to be acknowledged for the good that we do. That validation piece, and sometimes it can feel inauthentic, but everybody kind of needs a little bit of that. We need to feel significant. We need to feel like our contribution matters. So finding ways to acknowledge that in people and help them step into that next level of themselves, as opposed to feeling bad about themselves. I think that's the master key.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's so interesting. So, we've talked a bit about this already, about how our purpose influences the way we show up. It influences the way we make decisions. But how can we recognize that our purpose evolves sometimes, or it's ready for redefinement? Because my purpose now is different to what it was when I was in my 20s or in my 30s or even in my 40s. And now I'm sitting in the 50s. Shh, don't tell anyone. But, my purpose keeps evolving as I evolve and develop. So how can we kind of recognize that? And how do we allow for that evolving of our purpose?
Well, yes, the moment you identify your purpose, I think it's all about making that purpose get better and better. It's as good as using your own phone, right? Today we see the Apples of the world or the Samsungs of the world. They're getting better every single day. You see more new versions coming in. So I would say your purpose should have a new version.
An upgrade. Let's upgrade.
Absolutely. So purpose 2025 should grow to purpose 2026. The version has to change. And that version will not change in the core purpose aspect. It will only change from the aspects of skills. What upskilling can I do? How can I brighten my qualities in a better way? How can I improvise my behavior in a better way? How can I set my communication lines in a much more easier, smoother, quicker way so that I'm so connected to the world? And how can I get more connected rather than being disconnected? At the same time, I make those fine judgments how to when I can disconnect and with whom I should disconnect. That sense of judgment is very important because you're surrounded by various toxic energies also.
Yeah.
Right? So you need to know that when I want to look at going forward in my purpose, I am bound to get obstacles. In our journey, we face obstacles in different ways. And most of these obstacles come in the form of people, not non-living objects. It comes with living beings. And these very people come into your life in different avatars, different features, different costumes. So you need to understand with whom you should develop your connect, with whom you should not be, with whom you should do away with your connect. It's very, very important because your energies matter for your higher purpose. And that's what my spirituality is meant for. It allows me in my calm space to recognize what are my true energies within, what are my true talent, skill sets within me, and how do I reach my higher purpose. And within my range of purpose, I would have built purpose 1 has gone to purpose 10.
Yep.
It could be as simple as today, if I'm a public speaker within my community, within my city, my purpose should be to be a most established public speaker in the world at a global level. So I have set my purpose level from level 5 to level 15. So in order to go to level 15, I have to cross level 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And while I'm crossing, I am bound to get a lot of obstacles in my way, a lot of challenges. And these challenges come in the form of people who will try to bring you down, who are jealous of you, who are insecure, who may discriminate or who may put you down, discourage you, and look down on your very purpose that you're working on, or they could put you down on you being that genuine person, but they don't seem to be very happy with that. So they come in different dynamics, creating a drama around. Okay. And in order to be very efficient in wading yourself forward in this drama, you need to include dharma inside you. So in Indian language, and according to the Sanskrit language, the sacred language, and as per Bhagavad Gita, dharma is wisdom.
Yep.
So if I can consume wisdom inside me, and if my blood flows with wisdom, then I know how to handle the drama.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I can only get better with my purpose because I know what I'm good at and what I'm getting better and better. At the same time, I'm also taking cognizance of what I'm not good at or what I'm not getting better. So I will go into those chambers to get those skill sets to get better in those areas so that I have more ammunition and weapons around me to fight the war.
Yeah. And it is a war, right? It's the battlefield of the mind. It's the battlefield of our society. And the word that you use, judgment, is, we have to have judgment around that. And the word that I use is discernment. I need to discern who's in my circle of influence and who I try and stay away, because my energy is precious. And there are some that, will drain my energy and some that give me more energy. And I think we need to discern who and when and where and how we spend our time and our energy, because our energy really is our number one resource at the end of the day. And if we're not managing that and taking care of that, then we can't actually do what we need to do. Yep, I like it. So we need to kind of have this circle. I call it a courage circle. I've got a courage circle of people who I know that I can lean on and they will always uplift me. And I love that because I know that these people have my back. They're growing. We're all evolving and elevating each other. And there's none of that conflict or that bickering or that negativity in there. All of us are there to raise each other. And I think that takes discernment. It really does. So I love that you brought that in. Jason, I'll go back to you because as you can see, I love this topic.
I know, I did too.
Leeanne, give me a moment.
Go for it. Yeah, interesting. And we talk about this
Yeah.
even in our collective, you know, the people that we surround ourselves with. It's really so important.
Yeah, definitely. And, and what it makes me think about too is, when you were talking about energy, and that discernment, right? I mean, because even in our previous 3 episodes, right, around physical well-being, emotional well-being, mental intellectual well-being, those are all sources of our energy, whether it's like the physical well-being helps to produce some energy, with like good physical activity, eating healthy snacks, right? And that emotional well-being can either be heightened or can be lowered, depending on where the energy is being fueled or taken away from, and even with the mental and intellectual well-being. So, as part of our next question, we talk about our busy routines, right? And that definitely, especially in today's world, can exhaust a lot of energy. So in the area of awe and wonder, Jitesh, how they're so crucial to spiritual well-being, why are those feelings so important, and how can we invite more moments of awe and presence into our everyday life as we navigate our busy days and our busy routines?
May I request you to repeat the question once again?
Yeah, so we were talking about energy, right? And our busy routines can exhaust a lot of our energy, right? And so when you think of spiritual well-being in the area of awe and wonder, why are those particular feelings so important, and how can we invite more of those moments into our everyday life while we navigate the busyness?
Right. Beautiful question. The way I would like to articulate this particular question, the answer for it is spiritual well-being should be your home. When I come back to my home, I feel so comfortable, so nice. And that's when you call it as a home. A home's supposed to be a space which gives you peace, which gives you calm, which gives you a sense of satisfaction that I am back home. Right? So while we are in our own world, in our own journey, we meet so many people, we do so many actions, we work on assignments, projects, whatever requirement that we need to get done. We do face challenges. We are also into circumstances and situations which are very tricky, twisting, and sometimes toxic. And you tend to take energies of people, energies of situations. So when I come back to my spiritual space, it should help me refine it. It should help me cleanse my space. It should help me clean my space. So I see spiritual well-being should be your space of home. So make spiritual well-being as your central space for you to come back and refine yourself. It's a space where you take your shower to clean your body. It's like cleansing my own self with all those feelings that I got drenched with. So those toxic feelings, toxic actions, toxic situations, thoughts, and also certain toxic scenes that you would have seen, those dramatic scenes that you would have seen from certain individuals, you would take that into your head, and sometimes you may get those fearful thoughts, anxieties, and depression. It's important that you come back to your spiritual space and talk to your higher self or the higher energy, which is supreme energy. It could be your favorite Lord, God that you want to name. Get back to that space and tell that story to that energy and seek refuge, seek healing so that you get cleansed. And then you are back to your own fold of positive energy so that you can get back the next day with better energy, better positiveness, and deal with your pursuit in a more refined way. So
I love that.
it also ideating yourself, and every day is a learning experience for you. So whenever I'm facing these energies, how do I counter these energies better the next day? That is what your spiritual well-being will teach you when you go back to your home.
Yeah. And when we can go back to that home, we can sit in absolute wonder around who we are, our physical body, our internal mind, the universe, the world. Like I find that when I go out into nature, that also helps me to come back to that place of stillness, that place of if I see a rainbow, like for me, it's just the most beautiful thing. And that reminds me of what's really important, not all the noise, shall we say, but the beauty that's around. And I think just hearing you say that, I love that. Like I want to be showered in rainbows and I want to cleanse my energy and I want to come back bigger and stronger the next day. And I think it's a really useful thing. Like we sometimes just go from one day to the next without that cleansing or that refinement, but actually finding ways to come to that spiritual home, to come back to self and stillness and then come out better, much better conversation. Ooh.
And there is nothing better than your own space within, which is like a temple or a church or any divine space that you look for. It is very much inside you.
Yeah.
So externally, if you're trying to visit these spiritual places and telling yourself that I am getting better, but your energies are still revolving inside you and you are still actioning in a toxic way, then how are you getting better with those spiritual places?
Mm.
So I have to attend things inside my home. And that is where I go back, reset myself. In fact, correct yourself.
Yeah.
Because I am also bound to do mistakes.
Oh, we're human
Yes, we
beings.
are all human, right?
Yeah.
To act as human. So how am I correcting? That recorrection is such an important process.
Mm.
Yeah.
If I have caused harm to someone, if I have done something wrong, you should have that innate, authentic ability to go back and tell yourself, oh, I messed up. I screwed up. I did something wrong, something harmful. I go back to that person and very openly, honestly agree to what I've done and confess, apologize, and let that person feel that you have thought about it and you are correcting your action, and see what better can you do to mend that wrong action that you did.
Yeah. Absolutely. So that accountability piece, for self and holding yourself to that standard of I can do better and I can apologize and I can take responsibility. And we're all humans, which then also leads to empathy of others because if I'm infallible, if I can make mistakes, I can then have empathy for others that have mistakes or make mistakes and not sit with so much judgment towards them either because we're all fumbling our way through this thing called life.
Yes.
Absolutely.
With our training wheels on, trying to get better and better each time. Yeah.
Yeah. And I kind of think of it, as like self as instrument, right? Like you as your own self are your own instrument. And how are you keeping that instrument as functional and cleansed as possible to continue to show up, as your authentic self, living into your purpose, bringing into that good positive energy, and I think a lot of just like neuroscience kind of even comes into that too, right? When you think as yourself as instrument and how clean you keep your instrument is how you show up in the world.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So being that clarified person that you can be.
Yeah, absolutely.
So my two favorite sweet spots are neuroscience and spirituality, right? Like I love the blend of the two. And I'm curious what your thoughts are on how they complement each other. This idea of understanding out the neuroscience of how we show up and this spiritual side. How does it help us get clarity around our place and purpose in the world?
Well, it's a beautiful combination. In fact, neuroscience and spirituality can get you into a much better version ahead. So the way I look at it is the neuroscience helps you to connect yourself with the body, the organs, the muscles inside, with the mind, and the functionality of your heart, your mobility. So it gets you into the spectrum of understanding the connectivity with your organs, with your movements, with your sensory nervous system. And then the spirituality is all around, inside of me and outside of me. It is infinite, right? So when I use my spirituality with my nervous system, with my science, which is happening inside me, with the functionality of my physical body, if I'm able to connect that with the spiritual world, which is so much to do with about doing things right, being authentic, moving in the right direction, then my ability to function on assignments, projects gets so better. My ability to perform an action becomes quicker. My mobility gets better. My movement theory gets better. My cognitive power increases. Alertness increases because I'm so connected to my neural connectivity within me. And then when I know that spirituality focus only on doing things right, a yes is a yes, a no is a no. When I understand the theory of spirituality so well to do better things, then I will use that to make my functionality better using the science within me. So that way, I look at my neuroscience to the higher up, which is the spiritual space. So spiritual space is always higher, and neurospace is part of spiritual space.
Yep.
So if I can get that theory well, then I think my actions would get better, quicker, happier, wiser also.
It's so interesting. I love the way that you've just brought together, this whole concept of spirituality in our physical well-being, in our emotional well-being, in our mental capacity well-being. The spirituality is the fundamental piece that impacts all of the other pieces. And over the last 4 weeks, we've been, talking about these other concepts. And I feel like this one is just bringing it all together now. And it's like spirituality is the underpin. It's the foundation for all of it, right? It's the glue
Absolutely.
that holds it all together. Really interesting.
Yeah.
So if you see my 360-degree theory, which is all about the approach that I have, that is what is my USP is. So within this circle, my spirituality is at the center, which is the core, the earth's core. And then I divide the circle into 3 chambers: mental, physical, emotional. So these 3 chambers are so connected to the core. But if an individual is not connected to the core, but wants to work their mental, physical, and emotional space, then it is going to fall, literally fall, because your spirituality is the foundation bed. It's like the pillars of the house. My pillars of the house should be built on spiritual theory, spiritual faculties, spiritual inclination. And then my house will hold for a very, very long time, unbreakable, unshakable. And that is how my mind will be, and that's how my emotions will be, and that is how my body is also going to stand, at least till the time that I am destined to live on this planet.
I love that. Unshakable. Like that's like that's what I want. Unshakable, not to be kind of tossed around by the winds of uncertainty or the fear mongering in the world or all the stuff, all that noise, but to actually be unshakable in who you are and how you show up. Love it. Jason, I'll bounce to you.
Yeah, which I think speaks perfectly into our next question, which talks about rediscovering your purpose, which is one of those core elements of the core of spirituality, right? So the question is, Jitesh, how does rediscovering one's purpose help to hold on to meeting when life's uncertainties like loss, change, aging, when those leave us without answers?
Oh, yes. Life is impermanent. Okay. And everything around us also is impermanent. Okay. So nothing is going to stay forever. I think people need to get this reality very much fixated into themselves, that it's impermanence that I need to embrace. The moment I embrace impermanence, I'm going to grow stronger, knowing the fact that nothing is permanent in this world, including your relationships or the core attachments that you are so attached about, including your money. Okay, there are people who are so attached to money, and they work around their life only with monetary value. It is going to be not a very temporary aspect of your life, including my own life. So can I go back to the question again to rephrase so that I connect back with?
No, I think the way you've answered that is actually really beautiful, because the question is, in this world of crazy chaos, right, how can we kind of lean into our purpose when we feel like there are no answers, we're not sure what's going to happen, there's so much uncertainty, we feel scattered and concerned. And I really loved what you said there around, life is impermanent. Like, if we can just sit with that, we can't control it. If we can sit with life is impermanent, and then what do we do in this moment?
Your perspective starts changing the moment I feel that I am not going to be permanent, and everybody I'm living around is also not permanent, including my work, my so-called objects or the possessions that I so much attached with.
Yeah.
It could be your car or all the luxuries that you're so attached with. They're all impermanent. The moment you start telling yourself this reality, your perspective towards life changes. And then age doesn't matter, gender doesn't matter, place doesn't matter, and what is in for me doesn't matter. All that matters is I'm born and this is my purpose. I rather achieve it. Leave a name, leave a mark that when I leave, I left with a beautiful note on this planet that this is what I've done. And people have something to take learning from you, some leaf of learning from you, so that they'll remember who you are and what you have done. Those are the permanent aspects which will remain.
Yeah. And it's so interesting. Oh, sorry, Jason, go for it.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, with what Jitesh said and what you said right before that, it re-brought in that, who is the you that's observing, right? So in this impermanence of life, who's the you that's observing as you're moving forward and being that good person you are and all that. So, I think that's a good reflection to have is to think about which you is observing you right now.
And just to add to that, a wise person once said to me, the only time I suffer is when I argue with what is. So if you think about, like, life is just what is happening, and then our suffering comes because we want it to be different, as opposed to accepting it for the way it is. Like, we want it to be permanent. We want it to be a particular way. And yet our suffering comes when we actually can't accept that life is just happening. And we've got, like, at the end of the day. So I think it's a really interesting concept that we really, when I argue with what's happening, when I can't actually accept this impermanence, then I suffer. And that's that's not what life's about. But when I can accept that life is evolving and happening, and I just need to show up in presence moment by moment and just accept the way it is, then suffering goes out the window. Like, there is no suffering, internal suffering then.
I think if people can understand this formula of life from spiritual space, is that attachment brings suffering.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
And detachment brings a lot of freedom for me.
Yeah.
So when I detached in a way that, okay, as long as I'm with people, I'm connected to you. So there's a lot of difference between being connected and attached.
Yeah.
Yeah.
detached doesn't mean we don't care. Detached means that
absolutely.
I'm not, I don't have an expectation and I don't have that attachment that it has to be a particular way.
Exactly.
Right. But I
Yeah.
can still be connected to people. I can
yes.
still come from hearts. And because I think sometimes that word detachment can confuse people around, oh, well, that means that I just don't care anymore. And actually,
No,
I still
certainly not.
care. I care deeply, but I'm not
Yeah.
attached to a particular outcome.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
have your emotions intact.
Yeah.
Your emotions are intact. You will show your emotions because you are a human who's built with emotions. You should show your emotions because that's a beautiful way to express yourself.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
not applying pressure on somebody to create that attached feeling. So if you
Yeah.
are minus that pressure, I think you will live your relationships in the most beautiful way, and those relationships actually thrive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of what, I think as both of you were talking about that is kind of the way that I kind of frame it in my mind is commitment versus attachment, right? It's like I'm committed to do A, but I don't have to be attached to B, which could be the way it's always been done or the way that somebody feels it should be done. So it's that kind of like what you were saying, Leanne, I care, I really care deeply, but I'm committed to getting it done this way, in my way, not the attached way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I love kind of like all the different ways to think about that.
Yeah.
And more importantly, while you are connected and working your way with best of emotions, it's also important that I perform with fairness. You be fair in what you can do and what you should do. So live to those commitments and be fair in every relationships, every work sphere that you are connected with.
Yeah.
So deliver what you have promised. So keeping up your word and acting to it is also spirituality.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Our word is the greatest thing that we have, right?
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day. And if we say we're going to do something and don't, it causes so much problems for ourselves because then we don't have faith in ourselves either, and the ripple effect of that. So, Jitesh, as we're coming to our last couple of questions, what I'd love to know here is what rituals or practices do you have that strengthen your spiritual resilience and help you stay aligned to your values, your purpose, and all the things that matter?
While the first go-to tool or a practice that I work on myself and I've been working for a very long time, which has given phenomenal results to be who I am today. And I advise people if they can also include this activity within themselves so that it's a exercise that becomes a go-to exercise for people. Every day before I retire on my bed, I pick up a space which is calm, devoid of people, devoid of distractions. I settle down there and I give 5 minutes to myself. Close my eyes, connect to myself in my inner world, and question myself with that introspective mode. The exercise of introspection. So I go back and talk to myself. What have I done from the morning until night? Every day. What have I done? So I go by hour to hour. If it is 5 a.m. in the morning, what have I done? From 5 to 6, 6 to 7, 7 to 8. What activities have I done? What kind of nutrition I had? Whom did I speak to? It could be over a call or in person. It could be my family, right? And then while commuting, while driving, how did I drive my vehicle? Was it in the best way or did I cause inconvenience to people on the road? Okay. And then when I reached my workspace, how did I perform my work through the day? Did I live my day with my work? Or did I kind of fooled around with my time? Did I do a meaningful job? Did I live my role in the best way? Did I contribute to my organization? Did I help my peers, my colleagues, my boss, my subordinates, in whatever work sphere that you are in? And then at certain intervals, did I eat my nutrition on time? Did I have good food or bad food? Did I put my body to activity? Did I walk much? Or was I too sedentary in my life? Did I have my own fitness connect with the exercises that I do? It could be a sport, dance, music, or it could be a good regime of exercises that you do in your gym. And then, have I caught up with my social space, catching up with my friends or my go-to people, at least over a call, or did I catch up with them over a coffee? Have some evening time with them so that I capture some good energy. And then I reach home to give that essential time for my family. Right? It's important that I also balance my family time. So, am I spending time with my children? Am I asking all those questions that I can as a parent to know what have they done in their day? It could be at their school or outside the school. And also catching up with my spouse. And then having that nice dinner at home, in togetherness with each other, talking, gathering our thoughts. And then I sit at this 5-minute time to introspect on what have I done through the day. So when I think like this, what happens is I give green flags and red flags to myself. Green flag is for all those things that I've done well, very well. So I kind of appreciate myself, I pat myself. For things that I have not done well, I would give a red flag. In case if I've spoken rudely with somebody, or have I been unapologetic to some action, or I've been a bit careless while driving, causing some harm to another fellow driver, I rather correct it. So I would do that correction process for all those red flags that I've given to myself so that my next day starts in a better way. And then my intention is to make those red flags disappear and turn them into green flags the next day.
Yeah. I love the simplicity of that. Red flag, green flag, right? Red flag, green flag.
Absolutely.
So, it actually speaks into one of our top tips from last week's episode, right? Is an end of day ritual.
Yeah.
So I love just how that naturally came up in in your answer and conversation to this question.
Oh yeah. So that is the main exercise which I would ask people to follow. But besides that, the other exercises that I follow is I give a lot of time in the morning. My first day in the morning goes on breathing. It is so important that you give cognizance to this beautiful activity we are born with. I mean, imagine when the baby comes from the womb, it is the first thing that the baby does is to breathe in. And the last action that is also going to happen while we leave this planet is also breathing. Right? So, why are we not connected to this beautiful activity given by the spirit, and our life depends on breathing?
Yeah.
So, I would encourage all people out there, when you wake up, spend 5 minutes to yourself to breathe consciously. Consciously. Not, we do passive breathing every day, which is part of our action. Life goes on. But active breathing is when I am connected to my breath and I'm telling myself, inhale to the best way that I can, to the highest level, and then have control in breathing out. Holding my breath to whatever time that I can, and sometimes pacing up my breathing in and out. That is conscious breathing, and then your respiratory system gets so better. Your immunity increases. And your sense of appreciating things all around gets so better because my patience levels have gone up. Because breathing teaches me patience. And the third tool that I look up is fitness. Please do not disconnect yourself. Your body requires fitness. Your body needs movement. Animals move around for survival, so it becomes a by default activity for them. But how much are you moving in your space, especially when surrounded by so many luxuries, so many digital accessories which make your life more easier and in fact immobile, including your so-called applications which bring food to you today on the table? How much of body movement are you giving to yourself? So I go back as a fitness coach to reflect on how much of dynamic action have I given to my body. So please indulge. I'm using this word over here, indulge your body into best of movement theories that you can get into. It could be a dance. It could be playing a sport that you can. In fact, please do weight training to activate all your muscles. Your muscles need to grow. The way your brain has to grow, your muscles also have to grow so that you look aesthetically and functionally strong. And my fourth go-to exercise is make your nutrition clean. Keep it as clean, simple, very simple. You don't need to have extravagant food in the name of having food, and you turn heavier and aesthetically not so good looking. So your aesthetics has so much to do with your nutrition. So make it as simple as possible because simple food gives you ample results.
Yeah.
Love that. Simple
And
food, ample results. Yep.
My fifth go-to tool is please sleep. Sleep is the most underrated activity which people tend to take it easy, especially in the digital world, because I am so busy watching my YouTube videos. Or Instagram reels. All that I do is flip all those reels on my phone, and I'm becoming too sedated sitting on my couch doing nothing, and I'm sacrificing all my nighttime on my digital space, living like an owl.
Yeah.
So
eyes open, staring.
Eyes wide open, but in the daytime I am so sleepy. So it's important that I catch up with sleep because sleep helps you to correct your body. All your metabolism, your cell functionality, your respiratory system, nervous system, all gets better if I'm giving at least 7 to 8 hours of sound sleep, conscious sleep. And my last tool that I would recommend to people is that have fun, folks.
Yeah. You got to bring in the fun factor, right? Absolutely.
Please have fun. Make all possible excuses to have a hearty laugh. Have that hearty friend with you with whom you can share all those beautiful aspects of your day. You know, your go-to friend that you can look at, or a group of friends that you want to catch up with. And then have some sensible, happy laughter time with them, entertainment, move around, travel, pick so much of learnings, dance, please dance. Music brings so much of motivation in us. So create your own way of fun element, which builds you, not makes you fall.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah. Thank you so much, Jitesh. Those are, some just super insightful, things to think about, to kind of go throughout your day and just be mindful of and bring that discontinuous awareness. It's like, it's not going to happen like that, but the more that you perfect it each day, it'll become more of a, healthy habit, right? So with that, we're going to lead into our last two questions. The second last question is, what is one myth about spiritual well-being you wish people would stop believing?
Very needed question, Jason. I think I want to take pride in answering this question to all those people who've been living in this cloud. I would use this word cloud, that I do formality gestures to Almighty, right? So it could be in the form of following all those formalities, rituals, sentiments that you have attached yourself, because so and so person has told me like this, so and so community has told me like this, and then you keep following those rituals, which to a certain extent is fine. But if you are just living in the rituals but not understanding the actual essence of spirituality, then you are living a formality life. It's like looking at your checklist and then say, oh yeah, this is done. So I put the check boxes, I fill it up with ticks, and then I tell myself, oh, done, the job is done. So calling yourself done is not spirituality. I would want people to move out of that so-called formality performance to reality space. It is a connection that you have with the higher self, the supreme. That connection itself is what matters. All that you do around it, be it putting up lots of flowers, fragrances, uh, multiple visits to your holy places or places of worship, doesn't matter. If my connect to the spiritual self, the higher self or the supreme energy is clear, and I am doing all my activities in all fairness, in all trueness, with authenticity, and I'm performing my activities in the best way that I can without causing harm, without manipulating my processes or people, and also not following any corruptive practices to achieve certain things. And my way is clear with clarity. That matters. And when you are in this kind of a principle, your spirituality is bound to grow, rather than just living in the dramatic world of performing more and more drama and telling yourself that, oh, I did this, oh, I did that, I stayed back for this, I have performed multiple level of numbers. So if you start giving numbers to your practices, then I think you are living a very short-lived dramatic world, and you are not actually performing spirituality. You are just trying to defend yourself that you're doing something.
That's really interesting, the concept of spirituality versus formality.
Mm-hmm.
We often get into the formalities. This is what we're told to do, so we do it. But is it who I'm being? And that's what spirituality is. It goes from being to doing, or from doing to being. And I think that's the what I heard you say there, Jitesh. It's really about, I can do all these things and it means nothing if I'm not being, who I'm meant to be. So yeah, I love that.
It's as simple as, how am I keeping my home? If I'm not keeping my home clean every single day, then how am I calling it as a home?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I don't do the required cleaning work, dusting to vacuuming to whatever hygienic practices that I need to follow in my home, then my home is bound to become a cluttered space.
Yeah.
But if I'm just decorating my home with too many flowers and lights and calling it as a great home, but it has a lot of clutter inside, then how is it divine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. How is it divine? What a beautiful question. How is that divine?
Simple home, which is devoid of clutter and it is as clean as possible. And when you know how to receive people with the best of hospitality and treat them with the best of respect, that home is spiritual home.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
So, Jitesh, as we come to our final question, and it really is, what is, if there was one message about living, this 360 wellbeing journey, what would it be that you'd like to leave our listeners with?
As a 360-degree well-being coach and a wisdom coach, as a fitness coach, as a human excellence coach, I want every human being out there to first start living as a human being. Don't live in a title. When you are living your life in a title, you do very little. So go beyond your title, and the biggest title already has been given by the Supreme is you being a human being. It's a gift being a human being. So please use this valuable gift as a human being in the best way that you can. So create more contributions, live your life with more purpose, create more beautiful memories for people to remember who you are rather than your title.
Yeah.
And my second most important message is my signature line, which is love and evolve. Whenever I write, I end up with my write-up with these two words, very, very important words.
Love
and evolve.
and evolve.
When you are in love, when you are in truest of love, when I say love, first love yourself in the best way that you can. Irrespective of whoever you are, love yourself. In whatever way you are, love yourself and love people around you. All the people that you're connected with in your home space, personal space, official space, emotional space, your social space, your financial space, your moral space, and also your spiritual space. Love everybody, even if that person has not been good with you. You still be a loving individual that you can be. In fact, you can put such people to shame when you're still being that loving human being, and when other person is not recognizing you in that way. It's a shame on those people. So you put them to shame because you being that higher person built with love. And when an individual lives in this space with that wholesome love in all 360-degree aspect, such human being is bound to evolve, unstoppable, unshakable again.
Yeah.
And would keep evolving. And I would love to use this word, thrive. You are just bound to thrive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Bliss infinite.
Yeah. And isn't that really what we're here for, is, truth, consciousness, and bliss?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Jitesh. It has been such a
Thank you so much.
wonderful conversation. I've really enjoyed digging deep into the concept of spirituality and looking at it from multiple perspectives, but just this whole idea of love, of coming back to self. I love those 5 or 6 rituals. I've got them noted down: introspection, breath work, move your body, eat clean, sleep, and have fun, which I really like the sound of. So all of these things that I'm going to bring to life. And hopefully we will have another conversation and dive deeper into some of this at a future state. Jason, I'll bounce to you.
Yeah, no, thank you for recapping those, Leeanne, because they're all just so incredibly important. And thank you so much to Tess, for sharing your expertise and your wisdom today around spiritual well-being and how that fits into the 360 well-being journey. And just being such a great resource for our listeners. And we're just incredibly lucky that you were able to be on our podcast.
It's an amazing opportunity, Jason, Leeanne. I am so thankful to you in all gratitude. And I love you all. Okay, so you two very beautiful friends that I've won. And all those beautiful people watching this particular episode, my love to you all. And in whatever country that you are living in, if you were able to capture some leaf of learning out of this session, I would be so happy, because your life is going to get so better. And I would be so happy to stay connected And if anybody wants to reach out to me, you can always reach out to my handles. I'm on LinkedIn, Jitesh Mogli, Instagram, Jitesh Mogli 360, and you can write to me. I would be so happy to connect to the world. So I want the world to get better, and this human space deserves to get more better, and we have more brighter, better memories to live with. So let's all cherish our life in a better way, and let's contribute something valuable, value adding for this planet before we exit in our own lives.
Absolutely. It's the legacy that we leave, right? It's the
Mhm.
legacy we leave. All right.
Absolutely.
Thanks so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.
Well, what an amazing conversation was that, right?
Oh my gosh. Yes. It was just so, just sitting here, re-listening to our conversation with Jitesh was just amazing, and just so many insights and gold nuggets, and just that reconnection to that area of well-being, and how it is like at the core of home and who we are, um and just the wonder and the awe of how you can look at spiritual well-being.
Yeah, I really loved that concept of, that internal home, like coming home to self, to source, cleaning that space and getting rid of all of the stuff that takes us away from who we're actually meant to be,
Yeah.
which are these heart-centered beings of love, really, when we come down to it,
Yeah.
And I know we're going to share it in the top tip, Jason, but I can't help but talk about that line right at the beginning, that spirituality is humanity and humanity is unity. And if we can live from that space, um, just the impact that we can have on the world and those around us. And if we all just did even a couple of percent difference around being human beings instead of human doings, and
Yeah.
having that and not insulting our lives. I love how we said that as well. Like, if we're not living from this space, we're actually insulting our lives. I was like, whoa, come on.
Yeah, totally. And just just that, and I think I had mentioned it in our conversation, that self is instrument, and how you align yourself, how you keep your instrument just clean and functional and in alignment, and how that really perpetuates into how we as human beings show up in the world. And that the title of human being is the best title out there. Even though our egos, from a neuroscience standpoint, love to kind of tap on that door and say, no, my chief executive officer, my chief whatever officer position is much higher and more powerful than the human being title.
Yeah. But being a human being is the gift.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm glad you double clicked on that, because there were so many things I want to double click on, but
I know. So I'm going to share my screen here, and so that we can do a little recap on Jitesh, which we've been doing, and then moving into our book recommendations and top tips, and our episode 6 for next week. So I will share screen here. Getting into slideshow view. Okay, so again, thank you to Jitesh for being our guest expert this week, from India, and just all the knowledge and wisdom and gold nuggets that he shared, and for his time and energy to be with us earlier this week for the interview. Any last minute things you want to say, Leeanne, on Jitesh?
I just love his view of the world, and he's got so many qualifications, and again, we're all coaches. We all have a business of service, right, and making a difference, and I can just imagine the difference that Jitesh is making to his community. just as much as you and I are making to ours. So I just want to say thank you again to Jitesh for such a deep and enlightening conversation.
Absolutely, absolutely, and the impact that we all will have, on the global level of humanity.
Yeah.
Okay, so just a little last few things. Jitesh Mogli, who's the Chief Wellbeing and Fitness Architect at Wisdom 360. Here is his website and his LinkedIn handle and Instagram handles, which will also be put into the video section on our channel. So, just as another reminder, please like and subscribe. We'd love to have you there. And then we'll move into the top book recommendations. Do you want to start us off, Leeanne, with the first book recommendation?
Absolutely happy to. So the first one I want to speak to is The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. And it's the journey beyond yourself. And when I say yourself, I mean your small earthbound self, not your spiritual self. It's a fantastic book. And we quoted a line from the book today around who is the you that's watching. And I just think it's such a great book to unpack the noise of life and come back to who you're actually meant to be. I've read it. I've done it in book clubs. I've read it a few times. I've had it on Audible, and there's lots of different versions around the untethered soul, living untethered. But it is a book that I think everybody should read at some point in their life. It's one of my all-time favorites. It sits on my bedside table. And like I say, it is a book that you can go back to. And each time you look at it, you get more and more insight. And it's like, how did I not hear that last time? But as we go deeper and as we evolve more, things hit us differently. So great book recommendation.
Yeah. I just added it actually to my Audible. So it is available hard copy and Audible for those who like to listen to books on the go. Our next book is Man's Search for Meaning, and I'm sure many people have heard of this book by Viktor E. Frankl, who was a Holocaust survivor, and he worked in 4 different labor camps during World War II, one of them being Auschwitz, and just a super powerful story about his journey. And I haven't read the whole book, and it's one that I need to go back and kind of peruse through some more, but I have heard some very strong testimonials from different friends of mine and colleagues of how powerful this book was to them when they were reading it. And it was to one of my past colleagues, how it was actually a life-changing story once she read it during an earlier part of her career. So I don't know if there's anything that you want to say on this, Leeanne, if you have read the full book.
Yeah, I have, and I've recommended it many times. Books are my thing, in case any of you are wondering. I have a library in my house. But anyway, the thing about this book that it teaches us that even in our darkest moments, we have the freedom to choose our attitude, and that choice gives life meaning. So we can choose how we show up regardless of what's going on around us. It's a phenomenal book, so highly recommended. So I'll move on to the next one. Oh, sorry, Jason.
No, I was just going to say, when you said that, and it probably leads back to that core, right?
Yeah.
In those darkest moments of going back home and being able to see the light. So, I think it reflects a lot on our conversation that we had with Jitesh.
Yeah, absolutely. And the next one is Starting with Why, or Start with Why by Simon Sinek. And this is a really practical and inspiring guide for aligning your purpose with work and leadership, because who we are is how we show up everywhere. So to be able to align not just ourselves on a spiritual path, but how we show up and how we lead people, and being purpose driven, I think is such a valuable thing. So Start with Why by Simon Sinek. He's also got lots of YouTubes and TED Talks and various other things that you can watch or listen to, but really great insight. Anything else you want to add?
No, not on that one. And I'll let you take the fourth one too, because I think this was one of your recommendations as
Yeah,
we were planning for today's episode, and which I have not read. So I would just
yeah.
be telling the listeners the title.
Yeah, so Becoming Supernatural is by Joe Dispenza. And this is really, it blends a little bit of the spirituality and the neuroscience, right, together around um, we can do amazing things when we're connected to self, to our heart, when we're in coherence in all the ways that we show up. We connect to that sense of oneness and purpose and that expanded awareness that we have. So it's a fantastic book in kind of blending science and spirituality together, so we can show up in the best way and manifest the kind of life that we want to live, on purpose, right? So doing it on
Yes.
purpose. So it's another great book. And Joe Dispenza, Dr. Joe Dispenza, has again got lots of YouTube videos, TED Talks, lots of really great stuff, podcasts that you can listen to. That does blend that science and that spirituality piece together.
Yeah. And Leanne, for our listeners, our books 3 and 4 start with why and becoming supernatural. Are both of those on Audible? Do you know?
I'm not 100% certain, but I would guess that they are because they are both kind of bestsellers. Um, so I'm not 100% sure, but I
Yeah.
would assume that they are.
Yes. So definitely between either Audible or Amazon, they could find these two books.
Should have checked
or,
that.
or if you go to your local bookstore, or which I know there's still some that exist out there. So all right. So let's move on to our top 3 tips. So the first tip, that just resonated at such a deep level with both Leanne and I was what Jitesh said was to remember to smile and have that hearty laugh. It's just amazing on how much it can change, the brain chemistry, the how you feel in the moment, how you're interacting, if there is people around you, and just gives you that kind of lighter, more like, I can take on this moment, or I can, forge forward to whatever my next task is of the day or the evening. So we wanted to start off with that remember to smile because it is so important. And it's just amazing on how a smile can just light up someone else's life who maybe, in a dark moment and just needs that bright shining light of a smile from another human being.
Yeah, it can save lives. It really can. And just to go back to that quote that I said in the video around a smile costs us nothing, but it gives
Mhm.
much. It enriches those who receive it without making poorer those who give it. And actually, if we give somebody a smile and they smile back at us, not only do we uplift them, but we feel uplifted too,
Yeah,
right? So, coming back to that. So remember, big smiles, people, big smiles.
absolutely. Do
And
you
the
want to talk
second,
about
yeah, this
the
second
second tip?
one, yeah, because this one kind of sat me on my butt, right? When he said this around spirituality is humanity and humanity is unity. So spirituality is not about religion, which can cause division because I believe my religion is better than yours or righter than yours or whatever the case may be. But to come back to that place of spirituality is actually humanity. When I've got love in my heart and I come from that space to those around me, then that creates unity. So remembering that, right? That we are spiritual beings living a human existence and that spirituality actually unites humanity. And it doesn't divide it. So come from love, sit with that space, evolve, do the work, clean your inner house. So that way you
Mhm.
can actually be open hearted, open minded, and open willed. And I just wanted to say the other thing that around this, and Jitesh mentioned it as well, but that curious space, being curious about those around us, right? Rather than judgmental. And spirituality leads to more curiosity. We're more open to learning so we can understand rather than judge. So, yeah, I just wanted to double and triple and quadruple click on that. Spirituality is humanity, and humanity brings unity. I love that.
Yeah, me too. And yeah, there's just such power in that statement. Even if you just, sit with that silence intelligence, that we talked about last week with Allison, who was our guest expert, and just the power of that type of intelligence can give you, and that silence and that expansion of your, cognitive space. And, to really sit with this tip, I think could be incredibly powerful for folks. Yeah. So our last tip was another part that Jitesh talked about towards the end of our conversation with him, is the 6 daily rituals. And, people are maybe thinking like, oh my God, I don't know if I could put 6 in one day. It's a building process, it's the building of the blocks. So, start with one, maybe even start with one for a week and then build, over a 6-week period. So just know that you don't have to have perfection here, nor you have to integrate all of them at the same time. So the first one was introspection, the importance around that, the importance around conscious breath work, even if it's just for 5 minutes a day, but have it be conscious. Movement, I think movement's been talked about in all of our episodes, and rooting that back to episode 2 with PJ, where he talked about 20 minutes of movement a day. Like that is so easy to accomplish, even if you do it in 5-minute increments or 2 10-minute increments, but just some type of movement a day for 20 minutes. And then that clean eating as well, having those healthy snacks and being mindful of, I may not have had such a healthy lunch today, but I can do a little bit better at dinner, right? And then that conscious sleeping, making sure that you get that 6, 7, 8 hours of sleep, so that your body has time to rejuvenate and your brain has the time to go through the cleansing process, so that you can show up even more powerfully, the next morning. And then the one part about having fun.
Yeah,
And
I just remember his owl analogy. Like we're like owls, right? I just loved that. It's like, yep, we're wired on our devices like owls, as opposed to actually sleeping consciously and choosing sleep, which impacts everything else that we do. So I just wanted to, bring that because I liked it.
Yes, no, I love that owl. Yes, and just have fun, like Leanne and I do. We have fun here at Let's Talk, um and we know, sometimes some things don't go off perfectly, and that's the part, that's the fun of it. That's the fun of being live. So just remember to always have fun, because if you have a little fun, it also makes your day brighter.
Yeah. And if I can just double click on that introspection one, Jason, the one at the beginning, one of the best practices that we can have as humans is the ability to be able to reflect on who we are and how we're showing up. A reflective practice allows us to actually lift the rug, look underneath, and go, well, who have I been? And is that in alignment with how I choose to be? And we can do better every day. And I loved your idea around, just bring one of these in a week. We don't have to kind of manage it all simultaneously. We're not aiming for perfection here. It's about progress over time and through time. And if we can progress, if we can evolve, if we can do a little bit better today than we did yesterday, like the upgrades on our phone, like we talked about in our conversation today, then, every day we get better and better. We become more unshakable, unmovable in the chaos of life. And we can come from heart and really come from a place of love, for ourselves and for those around us. So such a deep conversation today. I'd really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah, that's absolutely me too. And we're just so excited, the amazingness of content and wisdom that we've had, only in 5 episodes. So all right. So now we get to unveil episode 6 in our 10 Dimensions of Wellbeing. And episode 6 is on interconnection well-being, thriving through meaningful connections. Just a note that here in the United States, we have our daylight savings time. So instead of starting at 3:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, we'll be starting at 2:30 p.m. and on Wednesday the 5th, and it'll be Thursday the 6th in Sydney, still at 9:30 a.m. AEDT time. And anything you want to say here, Leeanne?
Yeah, connection is at the core of who we are as human beings. And in order to thrive in life, we need good connections. So I'm really looking forward to diving into this whole concept of interconnection. How can we build more connections that uplift us in our life so we can thrive and have more meaning? I'm very excited about this topic next week.
Yeah, me too. And just how this conversation next week, I think, will help show people that it's beyond the screen, right? It's beyond your phone screen. Not saying that connections don't happen there, but there's so many powerful connections that happen beyond that phone screen. If you take a little time to look up and experience the world and all of its amazingness. So definitely looking forward to this conversation with Leeanne next week. So that is episode 6, and I will unshare my screen for our closing.
Fantastic.
Oh,
we can still see your screen. There we go. Technology, gotta love it.
Gotta love it.
Gotta love it. We're learning on the job. We've got our training wheels on, and we're having fun while doing it. And I think really, if we can just have a little bit more fun and not take ourselves so damn seriously in life, but be serious about the things that we're choosing, right? Yeah. Like that's really the key here.
Absolutely. So as we come to the end today, thanks for joining us for today's conversation on spiritual well-being, a 360 well-being journey with our guest expert, Jitesh Mogli from India.
Yeah, we hope, as usual, that it sparked something new, a new insight, a fresh perspective, or even just another question that's worth exploring. Don't forget, reach out to us if there are topics or there are questions. We're happy to answer them and to bring in conversations that you would actually enjoy listening to. So don't hesitate to reach out.
Absolutely. And as always, our mission here at Let's Talk is simple. It's to have the conversations that matter and to remind you that you don't have to figure out this thing called life and all of its complexities on your own. We are here at Let's Talk to be your friend and to be beside you in our conversations as we, navigate through these amazing topical conversations and our wonderful guest experts that we have along the way. And so just know that you're not alone and that we are here for you.
And as usual, if you enjoyed today's episode, share it with a friend, subscribe, like, and join us to keep the conversation going because we're enjoying having the conversation with you.
Because when we talk,
we really talk.
And anything is possible.
So
let's
talk.
So let's talk. Real conversations.
And limitless possibilities. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. And we look forward to seeing you next week.